So welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris and I'm a gorilla in the wrist. Today we're looking at a bit of a homage to a 70s icon, and so I thought I would cheat and get a jump start by putting in my own 70s icon, which is the Zenit E camera. A camera from my childhood. My dad had one and passed it on to me, and that set up a bit of a passion for amateur photography when I was 16, 17 and 18. Before moving on to Pentax and real cameras, but this one really is the equivalent of a Kalashnikov as cameras go. You can leave this out in the rain, you can leave this anywhere, it'll always work. A wonderful piece of engineering. So this is a watch that's had quite a lot of love on YouTube, for good reason I think. Also can divide opinion. So we're going to talk through the specifications, and then we're going to talk through my view of the watch and my experience. I've had it for about a year now. I'm going to talk about the good things, some of the bad things, and leave you to reach your own conclusion, really. So very quickly, just going to run through the dimensions of the watch. Then I'm going to give my take on it. It gets a lot of love and a lot of the other thing on YouTube. It can occasionally split opinions. I've had this one for about a year, so I'll talk about my experience of having it for that year, and then sort of give you an overall view, really. In terms of dimensions, so quick wrist check. Sorry, I'm getting boringly predictable, aren't I? I'm wearing the San Martin SN021, showing the correct time after the clocks have gone back today. So as I said previously, this is a watch that is homaging the Seiko Willard, Captain Willard, made famous in the 1970s film Apocalypse Now, when it was worn by Martin Sheen's character in the film. So in terms of what we're looking at, this is a big watch. In terms of finishing, I think the finishing is okay. So it has polished sides, both sides. It has a coin-edged bezel with a ceramic insert. It has a ton of anti-reflective coating on it. If you're looking at this watch, you might be thinking it's blue. It isn't, it's black. What you're actually looking at is the colour of the anti-reflective coating. On the plus side, it does work spectacularly well, and this watch has excellent visibility. So in terms of the dial itself, we've got minute indicators all the way around the watch. We have large batons, double batons at the 12, large single batons at the 6 and the 9. The date complication is shown at the 3, and then small square batons for the rest of the dial. The hands are fairly basic fence post style hands, with a second hand lollipop, with a little pop of red on the end of it. It has the Steeldive logo on it above the pinion, and below the pinion it has automatic 200 meters resistance. The crown is at the 4 o'clock position, and is branded with the Steeldive emblem. The back of the watch is slightly slab backed, but does have that slightly odd Steeldive emblem on it as well. But all very solid. This is a weighty watch, coming in at about 160 grams. The coin edge bezel is particularly grippy, remarkably grippy. Yeah, okay, if you don't use it for a while, it gets to be very, very tight, I have to say. But once it's up and running, it's very snicky, and pretty much aligned, I think. Just double check that. 120 click unidirectional, and I think that's pretty good. I think that's aligned. I'm sure some people would disagree with me, but I think that's pretty much spot on. So the watch came on a steel bracelet, and I have to give it credit. Whilst the quality of the bracelet isn't brilliant, it did actually fit me, and for the money that I paid for it, I thought the bracelet is reasonable. However, for me, this always felt like a much better watch, much more suited to a rubber strap, given its dive quality and its dive capability. So I bought one of these. Put this down. I bought one of these Isoframe style watches off AliExpress. I think they're $3 or $4. They're not very much, and really thick. So I think kind of goes with the slightly chunky nature of the watch, although it's not massive, but nice, thick, easy to wear. And for me, being the gorilla that I am, I can still wear this sort of 3 holes down, and I've probably got another ½ an inch that we could use in there. So I think these straps are good. My only slight complaint about it, I guess, is that the buckle at the top is a little bit cheap. It's unsigned, but then it's an AliExpress special. It is functional. It does do its job. It does feel secure. And the nature of the rubber strap is that it does feel very comfortable on your watch. It's not the softest in terms of the straps, but actually does a pretty good job. And for the money, I think it's fantastic. The other thing I haven't mentioned, of course, was the price of this watch. So when this one came out, I think I paid about 65, 66 pounds for it. I guess that's $75, $80 for our American colleagues, just in terms of price, which I think is really good for what you get. There's a lot of bang for buck here. So there's that ceramic bezel. It's an NH35 movement, which is reliable and robust. The brushing isn't, we're not talking about San Martin quality brushing, but actually for the money, is it bad? I don't think it is. I think it's pretty good. I think one of the observations I would make is if you do have the bracelet and wear it on the bracelet, I'm not convinced that the bracelet goes into the watch particularly well. Whilst it works and it's got solid end links and that's all good, for me, the bracelet, the polish on the bracelet really didn't work particularly well because this does have very light circular brushing on it, which again, I think is good for the price. And then the final bit that I haven't spoken about is the loom. So we'll put the loom shot up at the end. But what I think is probably fair to say is that this watch has outstanding loom for the price that you're paying for it. I mean, really, really good. I was wearing it yesterday. I hadn't shone a light on it, but it had clearly been charged up and it was glowing. This thing absolutely glows. So the loom is exceptional. I have heard other watch reviewers talk about the fact that the color of the looms is very slightly different on the hands from the markers. They must have much better eyesight than I do because I couldn't see that at all. The color on the bezel loom is different. That's a sort of light, a very light turquoisey type color. So I would accept that that doesn't match, but actually it looks fantastic. This is arguably the best loomed watch in my collection. The only thing that actually comes anywhere near it, the San Martin's pretty good, and my Orient Komatsu comes quite close to it as well. But beyond that, there isn't very many watches that were better. It's certainly not at this price point. So I think that's um, a fantastic feature of this particular watch. In terms of the experience of wearing it over the last 12 months, I've really enjoyed it. It's big, but then I'm a gorilla. We can carry these things off. They look really good. It's remarkably comfortable to wear for the weight. It doesn't feel top heavy. I'm going to stick it on the wrist so you can see it, but it sits very nicely on the wrist. I'm going to go off camera and do this. I never do this on camera, but it sits very neatly on the wrist. There we go. If look, sits very flat. Actually, I mean, I mentioned it being slightly chunky. I actually don't think it is on reflection. Looking at this, I think that's pretty good. It is comfortable and easy to wear. Put it on and off without too many problems. I really like it. I've enjoyed wearing it immensely. As I say, that its party trick of the loom is great, but actually this is a good watch to wear, and with that workhorse NH35 movement, it's going to be good for a decade at least before you have to do anything. And to be honest with you, if you get a decade's worth of use out of a 70 quid watch, then you're doing particularly well. So I know people have some concerns and some doubts about it. I just think for what you get for your money, this is a fantastic offering from Steeldive. And it's not the only good watch that comes out of Steeldive either. We're going to do another video shortly where we're talking about my top 5 AliExpress picks for the 11/11 sale. This one is going to be in there because I just think it's a fantastic watch. So finally, summing it up, lots of good things about this watch at the price point. I think it's a pretty faithful homage. In fact, direct copy might be the more appropriate phrase. I think the finishing is good for the money. It's not as good as a San Martin, certainly, but I think it's good for what you're paying for it. It's robust, it's pleasant to wear, and it divides opinion. Who wouldn't like it? So that's it from me. We'll be doing another video, hopefully getting out this week on the AliExpress. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe and comment. If you didn't enjoy it, then please feel free to tell me why. I'm always up for a bit of constructive criticism. Other than that, it just leaves me to wish you a good rest of your day. And hopefully I'll see you back again. We've got more San Martins to do in the AliExpress video as well. So hopefully see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.